What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. We have a very interesting stream for you guys tonight. Hurricane season is not quite dead from the looks of it. As I've looked at, we have Invest 98L, potentially our next named system that's coming up in the Caribbean. So we're going to be talking about that tonight, and as my frames continue to drop, we'll have to see how that ends up going. We are back. So, yeah. Okay, give it a second, guys. We're okay. We're okay. Just check the stream. We're fine. So, all right. Anyway, let's go ahead and get right into this. We have a couple of callers joining us tonight. We have Yoshi. Yoshi, say hello to the stream.
Hello.
And we have Ian with us. Ian, say hello.
What's good? And I feel like, in my honest opinion, pretty much anywhere in the Caribbean should be watching this. Like I'd say anywhere from like Florida, the Yucatan, all the way to Puerto Rico should all be watching this, as well as Central America too.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of uncertainty tonight that we're going to be going over. We have a lot to get into tonight as well. So, yeah, hopefully the stream health is a little bit better for you guys tuning in. It should be for the most part, but just to make sure, we're going to go ahead and change a couple settings real quickly and to kind of help with the health. And now, with that being said, we're good to go. And let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. So, you guys know we didn't upload a video today on the Pat's Path Predictor channel, but we are streaming tonight, so that is going to kind of make up for that a little bit. So here's what we have going on right now. Here's your current situation. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this for you guys, just to give you a general idea as to what is going on in the Caribbean. Here's the situation. This over here is Invest 98L. It has just entered the Caribbean Sea today. We are doing things are starting to get going, starting to get into motion. We have more convection firing off. Still very disorganized system at this current point in time, but we are watching this system very closely. In fact, the NHC is watching the system very closely because we now have a 70% chance of development in the next 7 days. So let's go ahead and go over this very quickly. Showers and thunderstorms have become slightly better organized since yesterday in association with a tropical wave located just west of the Windward Islands over the eastern Caribbean Sea. However, surface observations indicate the disturbance still lacks a closed circulation. The system is moving quickly westward at 20 to 25 miles per hour, which will likely limit its development over the next day or so. Thereafter, environmental conditions are forecast to become more conducive and favorable for development as the wave slows down over the central to middle portion of this week. Regardless of development, heavy rainfall and gusty winds are expected to continue through portions of the Leeward and Windward Islands through Monday morning. We got 70% chance of development in the next 7 days, 30% in the next 48 hours. Now, the main kicker is more so the long-term forecast, because we have seen scenarios of the system hitting anywhere from Hispaniola all the way to Central America, with some more ensembles now potentially hitting Florida. That is what we're going to be talking about tonight in regards to 98L, current health, some scenarios that we're looking at, and kind of a general idea of just how can we pan this out. We have a lot of unknowns that we have to get through, so bear with us. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our callers. And to the callers, what are your overall thoughts and opinions of 98L and the general uncertainty we are seeing with this?
Yoshi, you go first.
We're seeing a ton of uncertainty. First off, the first thing I want to say is this is going to be a very, very hard forecast. If anything is to be said on the stream today, it is going to be the fact that this is going to be a very hard forecast. This is because we have a lot of uncertainty with our forecast, whether it'll go to this place or another place or even loop around to this other place. We don't know. The main thing we do know, though, so going back to the basics, right?
Yeah.
This is a tropical wave This is a tropical wave that just crossed into the Caribbean, and it's producing consistent but disorganized thunderstorms. A lot of convection, just really, it's not it's not where it's supposed to be for tropical cyclone formation yet. And it probably will keep doing this until it slows down. It is currently at 20 to 25 miles an hour. And the faster the system, the harder it is to develop. We saw that for the weather nerds in the chat here.
Yep.
Think of Isaias 2020. That it was at such a fast speed that it literally started producing its own wind shear. And now this is getting somewhat close to it, although not to Isaias' speed. But it is forecast to slow down by tomorrow, and once it does that, it'll more than likely be in a much better environment. The NHC already has it in its formation zone, which means that it may attempt tropical cyclone genesis within the next 48 hours. What's our numbers here? I think 40,
30 and
70?
70. 30 and 70.
30, 70?
Yep.
Okay. So it could, actually form from the next 3 or 4 days, although a lot of people's thinking right now is within 2 days. Now, I'm not sure why the NHC is going as low as it is right now. Possibly because of the real-time stuff that is happening. Again, a lot of convection, not where it's supposed to be. So the main question is what it will do. Where will it go and how strong will it be? And that's where we get our uncertainty. Because we have two really three main scenarios as noted out by Andy Hazelton, a researcher at NOAA.
Yep.
He believes that there are three scenarios that could happen. Either it crashes into Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic, it crashes into Cuba, or it crashes into Central America. Now, that question is going to be based on a trough. And for those that don't know, troughs can attract tropical cyclones. I was about to say similar to a magnet, but not that much. But
yeah.
It definitely tries to attract tropical cyclones getting close. And when a trough passes to the north of a tropical cyclone, if it feels its quote unquote effects, then the tropical cyclone will start moving north.
Yeah.
So that's what we're seeing here. The main question will be how powerful will this trough be? And then what's its timing and all that stuff.
Yep.
Mainly timing and how strong it is.
Yeah.
Although where the trough is also a matter, but I'm pretty sure models kind of got that sorted down. It'll be a good bit north of the storm by then. Really, the only thing we know by then is that there is going to be some sort of trough. And
yeah.
the timing of it will depend on whether it will crash into Hispaniola, Cuba, or if it'll go out into the Caribbean and doing whatever it wants to do. Because the first option relies on a slightly faster trough going north of it in Hispaniola, which then it'll also go north. And it's also thanks to a fairly deep front here. If you look at the WPC website, the Weather Prediction Center, look at their fronts page, you'll see that there are two fronts here. One, which crashes through Florida, actually later on Monday into Tuesday, I believe is the culprit, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you get a slower one near Cuba. Either that or it's a completely different front, one on Thursday, which is also a possibility. Or that both of these fronts / troughs will not actually bug the cyclone. It won't have enough power on it, and it'll crash into Central America. So There's a lot of and models aren't that great at looking at that sort of stuff. So we have a lot of uncertainty here. We're kind of getting a windshield wiper effect depending on where the storm currently is going and how much convection it's producing.
Yeah,
Because
that's
if
for
it's
sure.
stronger earlier, then it'll feel much more of the effects of a trough and go north earlier. But if it's weaker, it won't feel it as much and either go north less more into Cuba, or it won't feel the trough at all and head into Central America. And we won't really get much of an answer until maybe, hopefully, at least tomorrow night. That's when we'll probably get an answer, in my opinion, at least to a good amount of these questions.
Yeah. For sure. We have Andy Hazelton's tweet pulled up. We've actually had it pulled up for quite some time. These are the three scenarios that Yoshi was talking about right here. Scenario one, actually, let me see if you guys can see this on stream. Yeah, let me go ahead and show you this. Here's what we got. Scenario one is a quick turn to the northeast across Hispaniola. More likely if the system develops quickly and feels a weakness in the trough. The models doing this are the GFS, the AI model, and the HWRF. Scenario 2, the system stays weak and develops very late and slams into Nicaragua slash Honduras. Models doing this, some of the European ensemble members. Scenario 3, the system takes a little bit of longer to develop, but does eventually stay over the northwestern Caribbean. This would be the ceiling scenario with a high-end major hurricane possible. This track would likely end up heading towards Cuba and the Bahamas, though extreme South Florida and the Keys should keep an eye out. Models doing this, the European, the Canadian, and lots of European ensemble members. All scenarios are still in play for now, so just keep watching. And that's what he has for you guys right there. That's Andy Hazelton's tweet for you right here. Just taking a quick gander at this. And he's personally leaning towards scenarios 2 or 3 with slower development in a track towards Central America or the Northwest Caribbean. But scenario 1 is on the table if it gets organized and feels the weakness of the trough in the north. Folks through the Antilles to Puerto Rico to Cuba through the Antilles from Puerto Rico to Cuba should be prepared for potential impacts from this system if it develops. So that's Andy Hazelton's tweet that we were just referencing right there, Yoshi. Thanks for bringing that up. I'm glad I was able to find that. But yeah, all right. So do you have anything else more to add, or would you like Ian to go ahead and take a stab at this?
If Ian wants to go ahead, then he can go ahead.
All right, Ian.
Okay,
Go. All right, Ian. Go ahead and give your thoughts on what you've seen based on modeling, or at least the lack thereof of consistent modeling, and just what you're seeing with satellite imagery and what's going on the ground.
So yeah, the satellite imagery, as Yoshi said, lots of convection, just very disorganized. Models are all over the place when I'm looking at tropical tidbits, like the HWFI model shows this, which is the HWRF, takes it into Haiti as a hurricane on the HWRF model that I've seen. HFAI just for whatever reason just dips itself into South America, which isn't going to happen. I'm sorry that
Yes.
the HFAI is doing something, and even the UK model. Hang on, let me just pull this up because like I oh I can't. Never mind. For
Okay, this is interesting. I'm looking at this now.
oh,
It does appear. Just hold on. Let me look at my bearings very quickly. It does appear that, yeah, the H-War keeps this relatively disorganized for quite a while, as it potentially heads southeast of Jamaica, just south of Haiti as well, at 90 hours out. Let me go ahead and
oh
look at the
wow.
10-meter winds, but please go ahead and, if you have that, go ahead and present that, if you may.
Yeah, I couldn't share my screen. It's fine. But yeah, also I've also seen that the CEMI also takes this into the into like the Eastern Caribbean and then turns towards Cuba, which would not be a good scenario.
No.
That's the high ceiling one, and that would absolutely be devastating for Cuba. Um, I also want to mention on Weather Nerds. I'm looking at the 12Z run because the 18Z isn't fully in yet, but looking at 12Z, a lot of scenarios have a lot of power to them. And in the Eastern Caribbean, I keep saying Western, with one model that I find very interesting, one of these ensembles has a 945 millibar low heading towards the Yucatan Channel. And it ends there, so we don't know the
That's the
certainty of that.
European
But
that you're
I
referencing. I have
feel,
it pulled up.
yeah, yeah, that's the
There's
European.
a
All right,
9
yeah,
is there a
I'm looking at the
920 in
European.
this
So
right here? Is this
I
920?
think that is it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a 920.
Yeah, that's a lot
That's
of power.
crazy.
That's a lot of pop right
That's
there with these
that's a
ensembles.
category 5. That's a cat
Let's
5.
let's calm down for a second.
Yeah,
Let's take a
yeah,
breather. I want to look at this
I can
because
focus on that.
I want to focus on the ensemble track, the whole model itself, the whole spaghetti plot we've seen here, because what we're noticing right here is essentially a more westward general trend with this. We're noticing a more westward trajectory with this than what we've seen previously. Riverstone Cabins with a $10 donations. Pat, a small donation for your time. If you don't hype, a big one is forthcoming. Thank you for the $10 donation. We really appreciate that. I'm just doing my best to kind of communicate this the best way I can as I'm looking at this data. There's a lot of unknowns that we're dealing with right here, unfortunately, at this stage. But
oh,
based
without
on what we're seeing, it does appear that maybe. I was talking to Ethan about this last night, but it does appear that maybe a more likely scenario is this enters the Northwestern Caribbean or the Western Caribbean, either stays just offshore or kind of hugs the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras, and then turns north towards Cuba. So that's what we're dealing with right here. So Ian, please continue. I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I'm looking at the let me look at I was looking at the CMC 12Z run. It kind of shows a similar situation to like the Euro as well, and shows it shows this thing hugging the coast of Honduras as a 990 millibar or tropical storm or hurricane. Then it kind of maintains a lot of its intensity, which I find very interesting considering it's hugging the coast of Honduras, and then it starts to turn northeast and head towards Cuba as a 990 millibar potential hurricane. So, which I find interesting, and I'm gonna take a look. I'm gonna take a look at the icon. I know it's very iconic for not being the best
You're
tropical
using
weather.
my lines.
I'm sorry.
No.
I had.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I had to do it. I had to do it.
Hey, it's hypotheticals. It's okay to crack a joke here and there.
Thanks. I just thought
All right,
I couldn't help it. But yeah.
go for it.
But the icon is known for not being the best model, and yeah, we're looking at the 18Z. It's kind of showing it stalling out at 1,003 millibars just south of the in between of
Yep.
Jamaica and Haiti, which I find interesting. And let me just looking at the Euro AI, it shows this thing strengthening up to a tropical storm, then plowing through Hispaniola, which is interesting. Yeah. So again, there are so many unknowns to this, and I'm gonna look at the halves A run. Yeah, it shows it going south towards South America and staying weak, doing whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Yeah, I'm looking at the same one. I'm looking at the 12Z European just to check as well to see how that's kind of replicating. It looks like from the 12Z Euro, it appears that the system a little bit, kind of generally, kind of projecting what I was anticipating so far. We're looking at this becoming a hurricane, making landfall in Cuba. A bit questionable with the intensity. I'll explain why in a little bit. But then it moves through the Bahamas and then moves out to sea. So that's the Europeans scenario right there. But the ensembles definitely have been a lot more interesting as well throughout today. Ian, do you have anything more you'd like to add?
Um, about the Euro intensity of the 12Z.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the 12Z Euro? Yeah, I think it is a little weaker. Or I mean, I'm not saying that it could just be a weaker storm that goes out to sea. But here's the thing, or through keeping out to sea. But here's the thing: there's just very little shear, and there's and I think the quote unquote shear that might come in would be at an angle where it could enhance the intensity or something like that. Kind of like what happened with Hurricane Ian. And no, we're not gonna make jokes about my name being with Ian. We're not gonna make
Don't
any
worry
jokes about
about it.
that.
Don't worry about it. Go for it.
Good. Yeah. Um, so yeah, yeah, I find these mile runs to be very interesting. That's all I have to say. All right. That's all I need to say.
Yeah, about that shear. I'm taking a quick look at that. I know Trevor's been patiently waiting to have his turn at it probably. I will get to him in just a second, but I do want to
Sorry,
look at
Trevor.
this. I do want to look at the shear very quickly. It does look like the shear is going to be increasing in the Caribbean going on in the next 48 hours, but it mainly stays north of Invest 98L until about 72 hours out when it becomes a little bit more pronounced. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out, but that jet angle that I'm looking at right here, this is a positively tilted trough that we're watching as well. With this system, if Ethan comes on here tonight, I'll definitely want his take and his analysis on this. But with that positively tilted trough and that angle that the jet is going to be at, that's definitely going to enhance whatever outflow is generated by this system for sure. And that could make the situation that much more dangerous, in my opinion, regardless of where this goes. But Trevor, I know you've been waiting patiently. You're on the air. Go ahead. What's your take on 98L? And how do you look at all this uncertainty we're dealing with?
So first, I think we're going to be dealing with a monster storm. Once it gets past Jamaica.
All right.
The second it gets past Jamaica, it will probably do a rapid intensification, then move maybe up towards Cuba or either. Well, we can't decide because models can't decide on this of
Yeah.
where it's going to go.
All right.
So it's kind of the biggest problem out of all of this that we can't figure out where it's going unless we use scenarios.
All right. You have anything else you'd like to add?
I've the NOAA Eagle Point models are showing it being a tropical storm, and it's right near Jamaica as well.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out. But mainly the theme I'm noticing with this is earlier development equals getting pulled to the north faster if it stays south of Hispaniola when it does that. That's the main trend we're noticing with this. Now, the main question is there's actually two main questions I am looking at with this. Number one, if the system's number one, how much slower will this system get in the next 24 hours for it to start organizing more? And number two, if it starts slowing down, will it be any more shear free environment, or will it still be battling some shear to the northwest of it? That's the main two areas I am looking at. And also, we need to consider
It,
just how much distance are we looking at right here. What's what were you about to say?
it is believed that once the system forms, there's going to be no shear in that area.
That is not
So
good.
the second the shear goes away, it is going to slow down and do this what we got called rapid intensification, and it's going to strengthen fast because there's very warm temperatures over there.
You're that
Lots of
confident.
OHC.
You're that confident in that.
Hold
That's
on. No, 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 no. Hold on. I want to stop it right there because
for
we
it.
are using fairly, I wouldn't say inaccurate, but definitely immature terminology right here, dude. I'm going to be real.
In what way?
Like he's saying things like it's going to, even mentioning rapid intensification at this stage of the storm's life is immature, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I can see that.
I can understand that.
My stance on this is right now what we need is we need to answer a lot of questions before we even consider intensification. We need to answer the question of what's the
Yeah.
speed going to be
Yeah.
like in a day? That's the forward's motion of this. That's the first thing we need to figure out. The second thing we need to figure out is how organized is this going to
All
get
we can
in
say is that
24 hours? Right now,
sorry.
the only thing we can really do because of the lack of model data is nowcast this. So that's my opinion. Oh, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Oh, I think. Oh, we had a little bit of a. Yeah, we've had a little bit of a we've had a little bit of a lag for just a second. We're okay now. So,
Yeah.
all right. All right. Anyway,
As I was,
go for it.
sorry. As I was gonna say, all we can say right now is that this has a very high ceiling. That's really all we can say.
Yeah. Oh,
Nothing else. It just has a high ceiling.
crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
That's all we can really say at this point. How high of a ceiling, we don't even know. I'm going to change this up real quickly.
Yeah.
We're not even going to predict intensity at this point.
Yeah, at this point, it would be. I
I wanna-
mean, we have. I mean, we can't even look at the intensity models right now because this is just an invest. Yes, it's a 30 not invest pressure 1009 millibars. We do have intensity guidance on this, but that's kind of a little bit misleading because the main reason it is because these models already think this is a closed low, and it's not. Not even close to it just yet based on the latest ASCAT data. But ultimately, we're going to want to wait the next 24 hours, especially. Those will be very critical in my
24 to
opinion.
48 hours.
Yeah,
Looking at
Yeah.
I'll give you
something
that.
here.
Yeah, and so
Checking it.
I do want to
Yeah,
take a
we're
look.
just nowcasting.
Okay, do want to take a look at the parameters though, because there is a lot we need to discuss. Number one, this is probably the biggest reason why I'm not really favoring right away development. Right now, I don't know how this is going to affect it, but there is some dry air to the northwest of it. Now, do I think it's going to hinder development in the long run? No. But in the short term, maybe. It depends on how much convection this produces and if this starts to kind of get towards the center, towards past that convection and more into this whole area right here. That's number one. We need to watch this dry air slot. But another thing we need to note as well is after it gets past this dry air slot, because of this massive burst of convection and outflow in the Caribbean, this is actually a really moist environment compared to what we've seen previously. This is a really moist environment once it gets past Hispaniola, if at that point. And if it can get past that point and it can get west of Jamaica, it'll be in a really good environment in terms of moisture. Now, wind shear, it's basically a scenario where it's producing its own wind shear at this rate at this current point. That's kind of the analogy we have. It's moving so fast that it's kind of getting in its own way. That's what we're doing. That's what it's doing right now. So that's another thing we need to point out. The main things we need to watch for is what is this dry air going to do and how much slower is this system going to get? That's the two main things we need to look at in the next 24 hours. Shear, in terms of shear, I'm looking at it after it gets past Hispaniola. I would be a lot less concerned about wind shear and more concerned about water temperature. That's where I'll leave it at that point. So that's kind of the first parameter I want to look at. Next thing we need to look at is kind of our catalysts right here. We have water temperatures. This is about to approach 30 degrees Celsius water temperatures in the next 12 hours. That is 86 degrees Fahrenheit for those living in the US, Puerto Rico, and her territories. And the best, well, not necessarily the best part, but the worst part about this, okay, 1 second. Okay, we're doing okay. We're doing okay, I think. We're doing okay. But ultimately, the main thing I'm worried about is look at this 30 degrees Celsius across the Caribbean. That is a very big concern of mine. And that is why we are saying this has a very high ceiling. This map right here is why we're so concerned about it. And it kind of exacerbates the issue I have with this. Regardless of where this goes, somebody is going to get impacted by this. Can we at least all agree on that? No matter where this goes, somebody's going to get hit by this. Regardless of intensity and regardless of track. That's this. Can we all agree on that? Those in the call.
Yes.
I agree.
Yoshi?
Yeah.
All right. that should be first and center stage right now, because for me it's less about this potentially being a powerhouse and more of somebody's got to get impacted by this. How strong it could get before it gets impacted is a concern. And that's why I've been watching this as closely and as intently as I have, and so have many people behind the scenes. So that's what we're dealing with right here. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I'm going to change something real quickly. But anyway, I'm just, for those wondering what's going on, I'm just checking the stream, making sure we don't have drop frames and everything like that, so that way we can go back, keep the smooth sailing. But ultimately, here's your water temperature, and this is your fuel tank right here, ocean heat content. Where the system's at right now is around 125 OHC. 125 OHC is already pretty pretty explosive in my opinion. Not in terms of, and now I will say this: there's inhibiting factors. The storm's moving too fast for it to develop right now, but theoretically, if this became a situation where it developed now and it sat over 125 OHC, you're going to see a lot of convection tonight, and you're going to see potentially a really rapidly escalating situation. Theoretically, this is not me saying that this is going to happen right now tonight. But if we just placed it on that would already be a big concern for me. But when you go to Hispaniola, when you go to Jamaica, 175 OHC plus. There are multiple areas in this that are cracking 200, I can imagine. That is the best way I can say this is that is rocket fuel for any developed tropical cyclone. And as long as the wind shear stays away from it, and as long as it's in a moist environment, which for the most part it looks like it will be after 4 or 5 days, that is your situation. And that is why we are on such high alert, because we know the conditions are there. The main question now is how will this take full advantage of it or not? That's your big situation. Your big situation going on. So that's your parameters with this. Those in the call, do you have any thoughts, any comments about the potential parameters that we're seeing with this system?
I mean, I agree. This has a high ceiling, lots of OHG. The conditions are there. The question is it going to take full advantage of that? That is the main question.
It's putting a lot of people, a lot of
I think
forecasters
that
on edge.
this thing doesn't do have.
Go ahead.
We do have a somewhat high ceiling for this.
Uh-oh.
We're not seeing a lot of things that can. What's happening?
Stream's causing issues.
Something happening?
Stream's causing problems. Okay,
Uh-oh.
we're okay. We're back.
No one's saying anything.
We're back.
Okay,
Never mind.
awesome.
We're back. Sorry. OBS was being OBS. Go for it. My apologies.
Anyways, so the sea surface temperatures and the ocean heat content below it, very high. That usually means that we have a high ceiling. Anyways, my main question I have is the wind shear question. How much wind shear would there be?
Right.
And that's a question you gotta ask every time. So I am actually gonna go to 200 to 850 millibar shear and see what is going on if it wants to load.
I already got it up on my side, so if you want to.
I'm looking at Cyclonic WX. I'm slightly more used to that. I'd say that there's shear all around the system in a lot of these cases, which is usually its outflow. So whatever it's showing, there's likely slightly less around the system.
Yeah.
But I will say, in the Gulf of Mexico, there is a giant, I would have to say, quote, wind shear wall on the GFS and I believe the Euro too. That means that any system would be stopped in its tracks if it were to try to go up there.
Yeah.
So let me. Okay. So this wind shear wall would likely weaken the system very significantly in the Gulf. That's assuming if it will even go in the Gulf, which is a big factor. Now, I think that. Um. Sorry, I was looking at Nasario's thing and I was wondering if it's something. Um. Anyways, like I was saying, later in the month, into November, we do have a more trophy pattern in the eastern United States due to a mix of winter forecasting factors that honestly I am not too intrigued of going into right now, but basically all of the a lot of the oh my goodness, teleconnections. Um, crap. Hold on, I got something.
All right. In the meantime, yeah, I pulled up pulled up the shear as well, and this is probably and this is kind of why I'm favoring more of a Western type of scenario in my opinion, because right away it does not look like that it will be favorable in terms of its wind shear right away. 4 or 5 days out, that starts to change once it heads south of Jamaica and moves through the Western Caribbean, because at that point, yes, you have that wall of shear in the Gulf region, but that's not really doing as much in the Caribbean. If anything, it's going to enhance the outflow. So that's what I'm looking at right there. When Yoshi gets back and when he's ready. But yeah, Ian, Trevor, what are your thoughts on the shear question?
Well, I think if it were to go into the Gulf of Mexico, yeah, it probably would start getting sheared apart. Unless it's going at a more northeasterly angle, then I don't think it would affect it as much or something like that.
Yeah.
So kind of like, wait, was Hurricane Milton going against easterly shear as well, kind of like that too,
I
or
think
was it getting
I th-
hit?
I think there was shear just to the north. If correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was shear to the north of it. I know it when it initially developed, it went yeah, it had no shear, but it ran into a wall of shear as it approached Florida. I think it was actually heading it was northwesterly, I'm pretty sure. It's coming from the northwest. I'll have to check that
Oh,
once again. I am
so
researching for a documentary, so
okay, so
there's that.
was
Go
it
ahead.
was it going kind of like with the shear kind of, or kind of rammed right into
It
it?
was running right into it. That was what Milton was doing.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Because if it runs right into the shear, yeah, it's probably going to weaken very substantially. But if it goes along with the shear, then it doesn't weaken as much. I think didn't Wilma kind of do that? Wasn't there shear with Wilma? Because that's what I remember. Like it was battling, I think 15 knots of wind shear or something like that.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that later down the line. For you, if that's
Yeah,
okay,
that's
Ian.
because that's what I heard somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you, because that's what I thought. But I think it
Yep.
was because it was going northeast, it was going along with the wind shear, so it's still strengthened into a Cat 3 when it made landfall in Florida.
Yeah.
Because it was over the Yucatan weakened substantially.
Yep. Yeah, I think also part of that was because of an eye wall replacement cycle and upwelling too. So there was
Yeah,
that, but that's what we're dealing with. But anyway, this kind of shear is definitely something we're going to want to pay attention to, regardless, because
yeah,
even a little bit of an increase could cause some problems for the system's development. So that's what we're looking at. Okay, this is interesting. By the time we get to 10 days out on the Euro, you have that trough and you have that jet that really picks up. That's really at an angle to enhance outflow, and you have you have a positively tilted trough as well. That is interesting. So That'll be so that'll be very interesting to see how this pans out. But are you seeing my screen, you guys, in the call? Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
That
Yeah.
shear pattern right there is why I'm on such high alert in the long run. 4 days out, this is where we're at. This is where we're at, about 96 hours out. This will be for October 23rd at this current point. Yes, the shear becomes more favorable, but there's still a little bit in the Caribbean we need to deal with. But then, as time goes on, especially as we get past October 24th, that shear just becomes more and more and more unfavorable. I don't have Epic Pen, unfortunately, Riverstone. I can't really draw it, but I can at least illustrate the best way I can with my cursor. But so here's where we're at by 8 days out. This is October 27th. This is much more favorable for development. This kind of pattern is more favorable for development. It's shear that's away from the system. The center is pretty much clear of shear, and you have a lot of it getting driven to the north of it. Yeah, that is quite concerning. But yeah, I would say starting about 6 days out, like around the 25th of October, is when I would start really watching this. That's kind of where I would draw the line in terms of how quickly this could intensify. If it develops, I don't think it'll strengthen that much initially based on that shear, but you never know with these types of systems. This is going to be a very tricky forecast. So, any other thoughts in the call?
Not really. I think that's all the info we have right now, and we
Yeah.
won't get anything for a while.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh, we have the 18-0 out. That's interesting. I did not see that.
Although
Okay.
I will say we are starting to see some convection try to bubble around the center specifically.
Okay. Let me zoom in on this. Actually, does Dapia allow for me to get minute to minute yet? Yes, it does. Why didn't I
Only
use
with
this the whole time?
mesoscale.
Why didn't I use this the whole time?
Oh my goodness.
Seizure warning to those prone to flashing lights, by the way.
You on mesoscale too?
Yeah,
Seizure warning, people. Seizure warning.
yeah.
You're on mesoscale too? I wouldn't recommend it. The placement is hot garbage.
Oh yeah, the placement is trash. It's the best we got though.
Use the floater, honestly. We're not in that stage where we need
Yeah,
minute
well,
by minute analysis yet.
That's true. This isn't like an explosive hurricane just yet. Okay, this is what we'll probably use on tropical tidbits. Sad. Definitely noticing an increase in rotation though from yesterday.
Yeah, someone smarter than me did point that out. I need to get that tweet again. Oh, there we go. Mr. Michael I'm definitely gonna butcher that last name. Igminoba. Mr. Michael Igminoba. He said, quote, "One thing I've been noticing about Invest 98L is that, in contrast to yesterday evening, there's a faint cyclonic rotation aloft. This indicates that convective heating is indeed concentrating, which means it's slow, which means that a whole bunch of heating is going towards the supposed center, which is good because you need storms to be warm core, and warm core systems typically are the warmest at, you guessed it, the core. Forcing height falls aloft, developing a defined primary circulation there. Pretty much, this indicates that we are slowly getting towards tropical cyclone genesis, although we're still somewhat far away from it.
But definitely trending in a better direction for development.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, this is quite.
Hold on.
Go ahead. What you got?
I want to confirm this. It won't take long though.
Take your time.
Nope, I accidentally got on the wrong page. But I do believe I have evidence that we have V00Z ATCF now. Trying to get it.
All right.
Where are you?
18.
All right, let me look at
The
this. 98L Invest. My page is still at 1800.
I have it.
All right.
Oh, yeah, you have it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
So 62.9 west, and it never changed. It's north.
Okay. Didn't go north yet? Ooh, that might be detrimental. 62.9 west. Let me compare that to imagery real quick. 62.9.
Oh, that's its current position.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is super far into it. Okay. And then 12.7. That's really near the convection. Oh my goodness. That's super close.
Latest convection burst. Let me see that. Oh, yeah, it is.
Convection bursts are kind of like circulating around the supposed center.
We'll have to see how
Yeah.
diurnal maximum picks this up. We'll have to see how that picks it up, because if we see something tonight where it starts just popping up and it sustains itself.
This is just after diurnal minimum, by the way.
Yep.
So we should see convection sort of dying. And remember, people, that if you see, okay, here's a tip that I've always used for the past couple of years now, ever since I learned it.
Right.
If you see convection rising in a system during diurnal minimum, that means that system is in a very healthy environment, especially moisture-wise. So that means that you're likely seeing an advance towards cyclogenesis during that time, at least. So
Yeah, for sure. That is a interesting development so far. We'll have to pay attention to it at this current point, but well, we are in the Caribbean. We are in the Caribbean right now. So everybody, Trevor, I know you haven't talked as much, but overall, based on what you've seen with the conditions, what that we were talking about earlier, as well as what you're seeing now with 98L, what are your overall thoughts? You haven't talked too much tonight.
It's kind of debatable for me right now.
Okay.
I'm seeing it as maybe a hurricane to, I don't know, major. Depends.
It just depends on its placement too.
It depends on the placement, and it also depends on if there's gonna be any shear there.
Yep. I will
But also,
say short term doesn't look as impressive. Long run though, you're going to want to pay attention.
I will put it on another factor that, depending on what the NHC scale cone has it as well.
Yeah. Anyway, I believe the 18Z Euro is in. I'm going to take a quick gander at that real quickly, just to kind of see what that was compared to the 12Z. So here's what we got. Here's what we got for you right here. 18Z. Okay, actually does develop it a little bit earlier than anticipated. Okay. The European's 18Z has it developing and just stalling out southeast of Jamaica. I don't know what to make of this. What was the 12Z at? It was weaker and a little bit further to the west. Now, at the same time, the isobars are so spread out as well. I don't know. I need more data before I need more data before I push my luck with that. So, yeah, it's just something we're gonna want to pay attention to for the most part. I will say that at least for right now, we'll need to watch it. Hopefully the 0Z data will give us a better idea as to what's going on and how this will pan out. Actually, let me see if we have any 0Z track and intensity guidance out just yet with the current storm situation.
we do not, but we should
No.
see it within the next few minutes.
Yeah, if that if that pops up, that will give us an idea of what is going to be happening. Yeah, the 18Z icon and Euro stalls at southeast of Jamaica. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's an outlier. I don't know if it is a situation we'll have to wait for. Regardless, we need 0Z data to confirm it at this current point. Once we get that popped up, we'll be in a much better light. But anyway, be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. And as we continue to watch Invest 98L, be sure to tell your friends that we're streaming. And if they would like to get a quick analysis on it, we're here to do the job. So be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Any support is very much welcome. So that's what we're doing. What's up?
This is another thing that people need to be taking notice that Recon is expected to go out there by Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes. I did just get reminded of that.
I mean, okay, that's actually good news. That is actually very good news. Let me see this. Yeah, that is actually. Yeah, let me take a quick gander at this. That's plan of the day. That's plan of the day. Hold on, I'll have to look at this real quickly. Recon observations. Okay, never mind. Yeah, if that's the case, then Tuesday. If that's the case, Tuesday would actually be great because that way we'll know what the situation will be like and how things will get going. So that's what we're dealing with. So yeah, thanks for letting me know, Trevor. I appreciate that because that'll give us a lot more data for models.
It's no problem. I'm getting information from other stuff, so
Brilliant.
Let's see.
Yeah. All right. What about Barbados for the rest of the night and tomorrow? You're expecting some more thunderstorms. Mainly, I wouldn't be too worried about. I mainly be more concerned about potential flash flooding than winds. But other than that, you should be good by tomorrow morning. So that's what we're looking at. In fact, if the Windward Islands have been getting hammered today with a lot of this convection too. So regardless of that, I mean, this isn't even been named. This is just an invest. And we're already seeing impacts on some of the Windward Islands, as well as parts of Venezuela as well. So that should already go to show that this system, despite the fact that this isn't even developed yet, has actually, been impacting people. And regardless of where this goes, somebody's going to get impacted. I think that's going to be the main message we are going to be illustrating tonight. Not the potential intensity, not the potential track of this, but the fact that regardless of where this goes, somebody's going to get impacted. Where do we know where is it we going to go? We don't know 100%. That's the main thing. And hopefully we'll have some 0Z data that will at least try to make some sense as to all of this in a few minutes. So that's what we're looking at right now. But regardless, the NHC has been watching this system like a hawk. And we have been too here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel and at Storms United. A lot of people behind the scenes have been watching this as well. This is probably going to be the last big system we have before the season goes, and there's a big possibility that this could go off with a bang. We don't know all the facts, we don't know all the details, but that's what we're looking at based on the current data. So that's kind of where I'm at as of right now. As we wait for more data. Dappy, I wish you had better placement for this. I will say, though, it's enough placement to at least take a quick look at this. Seizure warning to those prone to flashing lights. I do want to take a quick look at this because this is interesting. Yoshi, I know you don't like the placement of the mesoscale, but at least in terms of your burst of convection near the center of circulation, I think this illustrates it pretty well. What do you think?
I have to go on by myself.
I have it pulled up for you. Yeah. I have it pulled up for you. Yep, it's on my stream. on here.
All right, I just like it on mine better. I have more control.
That's fine.
Come on. Although it's always slower. One of a bad. Okay, so um, I did hear from one of our behind the scenes people in another server that apparently these are sheared thunderstorms, which personally I don't see much so far
Hmm.
evidence of it. Honestly, they're building fairly good and close to the center, but looking at how they are trying to build, meh. I mean, I can kind of see it. I'm kind of unsure right now. They're building very, very tall though. Um, I'm not gonna say sheared yet, but it definitely is in that environment to do so. It's misaligned from a ULEC.
Definitely am noticing
Looking
that.
at the ECMWF 3 hour forecast, we are seeing it.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, anyway, that's your satellite imagery now. If there's any questions in the
Mhm.
chat, feel free to ask us. We're happy to take any questions. Also, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. So that's what we're looking at. Actually, no, the close-up of 98L is not going to do it justice. Let's do the Western Atlantic and do it that way. So that's what we're going. So to do, but yeah, definitely seeing that convection as well. Yeah. We'll have to see how this evolves over the next little while. We'll have to see, but okay. Actually, let me see let me go to forecast models. Let's go to 18Z Euro, not North Atlantic. That's too synoptic scale. When I zoom in, go to this and go to the upper dynamics. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right, Rodney Shelby. Right now, Florida's in just in watch mode. No panic. See what potential Melissa does in the coming days, and what the new recon data shows after Tuesday. We'll have more clarity for landfall after then too. That's good. Will Louisiana get hit? No. It will. No, that's staying away from it. Could Miami see anything? We're gonna want to watch and pay attention to that. The models have been trending further to the west, but right now we're not gonna say anything right now about potentially over there. So that's what we're dealing with right here. In terms of the shear, yeah, I actually could see it. There is some shear, at least according to the 18Z initialization. And actually, let me see if I can pull it up on Sims. If I can pull up the Sims data on this, just to pull up the potential wind shear over here. I'm seeing this. Okay, that's visible. Let's look at. All right, let me see mid shear, deep shear. Okay, yeah. Hey Yoshi, I see what they're talking about in terms of that being sheared convection. I see what they're talking about because there is
Yeah.
apparently 25 to 30 knots of wind shear over it, at least based on Sims, from what I'm seeing from Sims. So that there.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah. Before I go, which I will be going in a
sure,
minute. Um,
perfect.
the main rule of this system is that if it decides to form later, then it will, pretty ironically, actually become stronger and much more to the west. If it forms earlier, possibly tomorrow, then it'll probably crash into Hispaniola. Main question will be, when will it form? And I'd say that would be, it's going to be hard to say, but we are in a much more sheer environment tomorrow.
Yeah,
So the
I
earliest it can do is tomorrow night. And, so we're more likely to see that Cuba scenario, in my opinion, especially if that sheer environment.
yeah, I would
But
make.
we're
Go ahead.
still looking.
Yeah, for sure. Yoshi, I'm gonna say this right now. I do not see this system developing tomorrow at any time There's too much shear, and it needs to organize a lot better. It also needs to slow down a lot more. So I personally don't
It's
see this. Yeah.
misaligned.
Yep. That
It's
too.
misaligned with a ULAC right now, so
Yeah.
it has to get out of that first and then do whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking at right now. But thank you for thank you for all the time you've given tonight. I really appreciate all the help you've done, and you have a nice night.
Too, man. See ya.
All right. Bye, Yoshi. All right. Yeah, Trevor, you're on. If you have anything to add, go for it.
I have no questions added.
Okay.
This one's kind of up to me right now to
Yeah.
figure out what's gonna happen.
All right. All right. If you don't mind, then I'm gonna go ahead and kind of give a general idea of what I'm thinking right now. I've been kind of letting everyone else talk. I've been kind of giving looking at the data and all that stuff, but I haven't given the thoughts on it. In fact, next question, what are your thoughts on the invest in the Caribbean? I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion on that right now. What I'm seeing with this right now, this system is not going to develop right now, at least in the next, I would say even 72 hours, in my opinion. The reason I don't think it will is there's a few reasons for it. Number one, like I mentioned earlier, it's moving too quickly. It's kind of getting in its own way. Number two, there is 20 to 30 knots of shear that the system is starting to run into. That's going to be mainly inhibiting development for the next 24 to 36 hours. And number three, there is this dry air slot over here that I've been paying attention to. Now, am I saying that this is going to develop? No. I think in the long term, this will be a very concerning situation. And like Yoshi said, the further west this goes, the stronger potential that this system ultimately gets. So, yeah, despite 98 L's fast shear speed and moderate ambient shear, it's still trying to develop but failing. It's definitely putting up a fight for sure, but I don't necessarily see it. Yeah, I don't necessarily see it happening like right away. Oh, Man of the Night's coming on. The Man of the Night's coming on. Ethan WX is about to come on. Ethan, how are you? You're on the air.
I'm doing pretty good. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. We've been watching Invest 98L as of recently. What's your take on this whole situation?
All I'll say is that this is a pretty tough forecast. It's definitely going to hit somewhere. That's for sure. But yeah, right now models are favoring a recurve north. So I'm thinking either way, whether it recurves to the northeast into Jamaica, Cuba, or even Hispaniola, or keeps going towards Central America, either way, it's going to be a pretty significant rainfall flooding event at minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, based on the parameters, Ethan, I do not think this system's going to develop in the next 72 hours at this point. There's too much shear.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah, probably not. It's been pretty slow.
yeah,
Right now, it kind of looks like a mess, if I'm being honest.
for sure.
I mean, there's definitely a low there. It's definitely got some convection around it, but it's not tightening up very quickly at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely putting up a fight, but it just has too much. It has too much going against it at this current point, for my liking. So that's what we're dealing with, Mr. Ethan.
Yep.
Aye. So, what do you think potentially of the long-term possibilities? What do you think of how this system will evolve? How do you think this could potentially pan out?
This is a pretty tough forecast, honestly.
That's the theme of tonight.
Yeah, this is very difficult because it kind of could go what's like one way or the other, and the models have really been back and forth. The northeast curve, I think, would be a little bit worse because that would mean significant impacts for Cuba, Hispaniola, or Jamaica, maybe even the Bahamas as well. Right now, I'm thinking it's probably not going to hit Florida or the U.S. in general, although parts of South Florida might see some outer bands impacts from this. As for intensity, there's definitely, if it can get out of the wind shear, there's definitely a pretty high ceiling for intensity because this part of the Western Caribbean has remained pretty much untapped the whole season.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. Anyway, we have another $10 donation tonight by Saved by Grace. I fully understand the chances of a West Coast Florida hit are lower. I get that. However, a good chunk of people have been telling us in the West Coast of Florida you are in the clear. It is not responsible at all. We'll have well, right now we need to watch how the system will evolve. Thank you for the $10 donation. We really appreciate that. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new to the Pat's Path Predictor channel, and we do accept donations. Any support is very much welcome, and we really appreciate that. But looking at the track models, those just came out, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick look at this. That's the 18Z run. Let's go ahead and first get the 0Z, and then we'll pull the 18Z for context. This is interesting. The 18Z runs before mainly to the west, more so to the west-northwest. 0Z, we have a bit more of a situation right here. This looks like
Yeah, like go back to the previous run real quick.
here's the 18Z.
Yeah, 18Z. I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, this is what we have right now. They were mainly to the west-northwest. Still a lot of
So it
uncertainty.
seems like it's more, yeah, there's still uncertainty, but it seems like this afternoon it's kind of trended more towards a northeast turn sooner rather than later or continuing further west. Yeah, we got more
Yeah.
more ensembles there having it going between Jamaica and Haiti, which
That's a
yeah,
worst
to be
case
honest,
scenario.
yeah, that's very bad considering, those are all places that are very mountainous. So any tropical cyclone moving through there is going to cause some pretty serious flooding.
Oh yeah.
Haiti in particular is extremely vulnerable at the moment. Fortunately, there's probably not much of a way for people there to receive these forecasts right now, but if anyone is somehow watching from Haiti, I would definitely keep an eye on this. Same with Jamaica, Cuba. I'm sure there's some people in here from Jamaica, maybe a couple from the Dominican Republic as well. DR looks like impacts there won't be as significant. In fact, it's probably going to turn late enough that, they won't get a whole lot. But Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, I would definitely, watch out for this system.
Yeah, for sure. And I gotta say that, I mean, I gotta say that, um, if that is the case, that does have that track, given the sheer environment starts to get better after a few days, that really does not sit well with me. Now, granted, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but
Someone earlier in the chat said, do you think this has a shot for a Cat 3 or Cat 4? I mean, right now, there's a lot of uncertainty about the intensity, about the wind shear. If the shear is minimal, though, absolutely. The waters are plenty warm enough. It's just, it's going to depend on wind shear, really.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Well, what I know is going to happen is, well, as you see, the NHC is saying this thing's moving at 20 to 25 miles per hour right now. As it heads into the Caribbean Sea, it is going to start slowing down.
Yeah.
So there's something to take notice of, that if it starts slowing its speed down, it's going to do something that we don't want to see.
Yeah. Yes, Stephanie Midkiff with the $5 donation. What parameters are affecting the 90-degree turns? It seems that it would go due west, similar to what Wilma did. What would allow it to go to the Gulf? So that's two questions right there. The first question affecting the 90-degree turns. This would be indicative of a faster than anticipated trough moving outside of the United States off the East Coast and more so towards the Western Atlantic. So
it would be from last night's severe weather trough.
Yeah, that would be the main driver of that. That would be the main driver of it. Just that trough moving out of the United States and moving into the Atlantic. In terms of your other questions, what would hypothetically allow this to go to the Gulf? I mean, this system has to remain pretty weak. I will say this also with the latest track, the intensity is pretty interesting with this. They want this system to be a tropical storm in the next 24
The
hours.
positioning of
That's
the
not going to
trough.
happen.
Yeah, the positioning of the trough kind of means it's either going to turn hard right or it's going to avoid the trough altogether and just keep going west.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of why the forecast is very divided.
Oh, yeah.
This morning, like a lot of the ensembles were having it going. The majority of them had it going into Honduras or Nicaragua, and now they've switched back over to this hard right turn further north. So it's going to be, definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it could really go either way at this point. Right now, they're favoring a right turn, northerly turn, but it's still considering that the system is not even named yet. There's still a lot that can happen.
Yeah. Personally, Ethan, this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't trust it, and there's one reason for that. Every single one of these models, with the exception of the UKX, wants this to be a tropical storm in 24 hours. This system's nowhere near a tropical development at this current point. That's why I don't trust it. Because just to answer the second question, what would allow it to go to the Gulf? It would need to remain pretty much an invest like it is now, remain pretty weak, and miss the trough, and then get
But even if that happened, it would probably just keep going west.
Yep. This is just not.
It's like it's probably not. It's just not going to go into the Gulf. That's the thing.
This is not
like if it misses the trough, it keeps going west. If it doesn't miss the trough is strong enough that it'll just yank it north.
Yeah.
So there's not really any chance of it going into the Gulf right now.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this is why I don't trust the track intensity, because can we all agree that this is not going to be a tropical storm in the next 24 hours? I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
personally.
I would say so. I'd say it's unlikely.
Yeah. That's why I don't trust it, because...
And it's about to be moving into like 30 to 40 knots of shear.
Yep.
Like just north of Venezuela. Yeah, north of Venezuela, between basically Puerto Rico and Venezuela, it's like 30, 40 knots of deep shear. So that's not good for it.
Absolutely.
I think it'll struggle. It's going to struggle until that shear moves out or weakens.
For sure. But anyway, yeah, this is not a Gulf type of system. This is a Caribbean type of system, and a scary type of Caribbean system at that, if you think about it. So, but yeah, I don't like the 0Z data personally. I think they're being too bullish on its intensity forecast. You also have to understand too, this is already assuming that this is a tropical cyclone at 30 knots. That's what these models are already assuming. You have to take that into account. Ethan, let's play a game. Let's play a game real quickly. Does this look like a tropical cyclone to you?
I would say no. It really does not.
Thank you.
The thing is, though, if it takes its time to develop, if it struggles for a long time like this, then it's likely going to keep going further and further west, which means that the chances of impacts to Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola actually will decrease.
Yeah.
So it kind of needs to get its act together quickly, or it's going to miss the trough and it's just going to keep moving west and develop more slowly. I'm in terms of intensity, if it did go that track, there's really not much of an agreement on how strong it would be if it went towards Central America. But I think either way, like right now, we need to look more at the rainfall impacts rather than the intensity wind impacts. Eventually, that'll be important. But right now, we got to treat this as definitely going to be a flooding issue wherever it goes.
Right. All right. All right. That's the case. Let's go ahead and go with. Okay. Don't know right. Okay. Let's go ahead and go here. Let's look at this. Total accumulated precip. Let's take a quick look at that. Here's the Europeans.
I'm gonna be right back.
What's up?
Yeah. I'm gonna be right back. So.
All right, go ahead, Trevor. Yeah, I mean, looking at this, even by 10 days out, even by 15 days out, you're looking at a lot of rainfall for a lot of the Caribbean. Granted, a lot of it stays out to sea, but taking that into consideration,
Uh,
yeah,
What are those? Yeah, those are some pretty major totals around Jamaica.
yep, yep, a lot of it from these rain bands, and that's a mountainous island too. So that's going to potentially be a mudslide issue.
Yeah.
But in terms of what we're seeing in Cuba, this is potentially like up to what is this? This is potentially up to 20, like up to what is this? Like 8 inches of rain for Cuba if it hits that area.
Yeah. What's it look like down near Jamaica?
Jamaica goes from, there's already a lot of pre-existing rain, but it goes from, I'd say, about 2-ish inches to about, I'd say, 16. So still pretty
Yeah.
significant.
That's going to cause some serious flooding.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments just said Chat GPT just confirmed with me that most Caribbean hurricanes go to Florida.
Yeah. I'm
This
sorry, but
is no.
I mean, if that were the case, Beryl would have gone to Florida. It went to Texas. So,
Yeah, well, you can get a Wilma type storm at this time of the year,
oh yeah.
but yeah, there's just a lot of cases where, especially later in the season, the storms will just continue tracking further west and stay further south. Especially like Hurricane Otto back in November of, I believe it was 2017, was a good
2016,
example
yeah.
of this.
It was
2016.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was a Cat 3, pretty far south. It made landfall in Nicaragua all the way down towards almost Costa Rica. So basically, the later in the season you get, the more likely it is that Caribbean hurricanes will stay further south.
Yeah.
Another person in chat just said, do you think Belize could get hit? And I think there is actually a potential for impacts in Belize because if the system stays on its westward track, if it struggles to develop, chances are the more significant impacts in that case would be in Nicaragua and Honduras. But you could definitely see, heavy rain, wind, flooding issues in Belize, depending on exactly where that goes.
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll have to see what happens with this. But ultimately, yeah, this system is this system is not going to develop for the next few days. It's just that's what we can establish tonight, given the shear and given the dry air and the speed. That's what we can establish. Now, what we don't know is what's it going to do after 72 hours. We think it might develop after that point, but ultimately, the thing that we need to hone in on is just the best way I can describe this is just the amount of unknowns that we have with this. Kind of in a way, you look at Invest 98L, doesn't seem like that much of a. It doesn't seem like this doesn't seem that bad. Doesn't seem much right now, but this is a scary Invest 98L in my opinion, given the conditions that it'll have ahead of it and the fact that somebody's going to get impacted by this. Like, you remember back when I was talking about Aaron, when you were saying, when I was saying 45 miles per hour may not seem like much, but it's a scary 45 miles per hour with the conditions it has ahead of it. But it was for a completely different scenario because of the intensity. This is track and intensity. Yeah. Someone's asking will there be a windshield in the future for the storm? In terms of the windshield effect, I think we might see, like, we've seen it back and forth. Ethan, you remember yesterday we went from the Dominican Republic all the way to Central America back to Haiti now. We're seeing those
in fact, the
swings
Euro AI and the GFS have it making landfall almost in the same place in the Dominican Republic. So this is kind of, it almost looks like it might be like an all or nothing situation. Like if it gets influenced by the trough, it'll turn really hard to the right. But if it doesn't, it will just keep going west.
Yep.
It's
And
kind of like a very split forecast, almost like we had with Imelda at one point earlier this year, when it
Yep.
was like half the models had it going into the Carolinas, the other half had it going way out to sea.
yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. We'll have to see how that pans out, but I think right now I'm leaning more towards the Western type of scenario, mainly because this system is going to be taking its time developing, and already you have the guidance that the 0Z wanting this to be a tropical storm. We can establish that's not going to happen. Number one, number two, just once it gets past, I'd say, the Dominican Republic, its chances of turning north and crashing into Haiti, if it stays in invest and doesn't develop, don't for me they don't really like those decrease quite a bit once we get past that point, because at that point you're just going to go further to the west, and then once it does develop, well, we'll see what happens. But that's my take on this. I don't see this particularly. I don't see this particularly going. At least with the 0Z guidance, we'll have to see what happens. We do have a $5 donation from Icy Shot, Night Pat, chat and chat. Great stream tonight. Good talking to you all. Thanks for the $5 donation. We really appreciate that. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. All support is appreciated. Anyway, Ethan, what are you thinking about this? At least in short
Someone
term.
in the chat did just ask, is it going to hit Aruba? If it continues on its westward track, Aruba might see some wind, rain showers with it. It's not going to be any significant impacts, but if you're on vacation there or anything, it might be a little bit disruptive. You might get some breezy, rainy conditions for like a couple days as the system passes just north.
Yeah. Yeah, when is this supposed to come? Just in case I need to go to the store. Depends on where you're at, number one. Number two, this is probably not going to impact much land besides the ABC Islands for the next 7 days at least. It's going to be a system that moves through the Caribbean, stalls out, and then gets yanked up to the north, regardless of where it does that. In terms of what we're doing, okay, in terms of that, is the 0Z guidance the most recent? Yes, it is. Is it going to affect Mexico? Maybe if it crashes into Central America and moves to the north there, but I don't think so at this current point. Ethan, what do you think?
As for all the people asking about Florida, right now, even on the northward turn track, it looks like it's not going to affect Florida. Maybe on the East Coast, you could see some like rough surf, bit of rainfall from it, but it looks like it's not a major threat to Florida right now.
Yeah. All right. What are the odds of someone's asking what are the odds of it hitting Jamaica as a hurricane or a major? Too early to determine. Too many factors we need to consider at this point in terms of a direct impact. In terms of impacts in general, there's a pretty decent chance Jamaica gets at least some outer bands from this. That's my opinion. Yeah, could this lead to an increase of moisture over the U.S.? I don't think so. I don't think so unless you're in Florida.
Yeah, the trough will keep most of the moisture offshore.
Yeah.
So there's really not going to be any impacts in the U.S. besides maybe a little bit in Florida.
Yeah. Does this have a concerningly high ceiling in your opinion? Absolutely it does. Absolutely. You're sitting over 30 degrees Celsius waters, 175 OHC. Even if this stalls with the 0Z guidance, it's over 175 OHC. And on top of that, you have wind shear that starts to retreat up to the north. That is going to allow for intensification conditions, and that's why I'm concerned about it. So that's what I'm thinking right here. This stall is increasingly more likely to take more time like Dorian. We don't know yet, David, unfortunately. We're going to have to wait and see how this pans out. But just the fact that we're even thinking about this at all. And the fact that we have had such a tricky forecast with this, pretty much going back and forth, with this is just unbelievable right now.
As for the person asking about Louisiana, it is not going to hit Louisiana.
Yeah, I think we already
I
established.
will. Yeah,
We already established.
that's been established, but yeah, it's not going to impact Louisiana or really anywhere in the U.S. besides maybe Florida.
Yeah. Here's what we had at 12Z. This is what we have at 0Z. So 12Z, you still had some scenarios heading towards the Hispaniola, and then you had the rest of them moving more so to the west. 0Z more so towards the Central Caribbean, which I do think is pretty interesting right now. It's been back and forth with all these models. Hopefully we'll know more by tomorrow. If we do, brilliant. If not, it's going to take its time to get its act together. So that's where we're at. That's what we can say. Oh, man. Will it hit Northeast Florida? Most likely not. Impacts will probably be likely around southern Florida. Yeah. That's where what I'm thinking. Ethan, when do you think what do you think about this actually I lost my train of thought, sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah. In your opinion, when do you think this develops?
I think not, and definitely not tomorrow. I think it will probably not develop into a tropical storm until maybe Tuesday.
All right.
I would say Tuesday is when I think it will, because it's going to need some time to consolidate. Can North Carolina get any impacts at the coast besides rough swells? No. As for what part of Florida, if it does impact Florida in any capacity, further south, the more likely.
Yep. Okay. All right. So that definitely helps.
Also,
Okay, this is in terms of intensity forecasts, I'm not even going to consider that just yet. I'm not going to even consider it. Like, in terms of do I think it'll be a strong system? Most likely. How strong? We don't know. That's the crazy part about this. But I will say this. If this system does start to get its act together, given the trend we've seen this hurricane season, we've either seen nothing at all or systems with ridiculous amounts of power.
Yeah, it's been either Cat 4s and 5s or complete busts.
Yeah.
No in between.
Yeah. So I will say, given the conditions, if this does develop, I do think this could be a very powerful storm, given those trends. And the thing that scares me the most is we don't know where this is going. And that's pretty much what we can say at this point. We can think of, possible scenarios. Look at the troughs, look at the ridges, look at the steering currents. The reality is there are virtually zero steering currents we can look at with this because of how complicated of a setup this is. Similar to what we saw with Aaron and similar to what we saw with Humberto. Like, we don't have very much in terms of steering currents to go off of. And that right there.
It's a very tough call.
Yep. Yeah, just
kind of it's kind of like Imelda earlier, where you have two different track scenarios and it's going to go one or the other.
Yep.
So we're gonna honestly, it'll be a couple days until anyone knows which one it's truly going to take.
Yep.
Because keep in mind, this thing hasn't even developed yet, so the NHC hasn't even issued their own track on it. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see a couple more days.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the steering currents very quickly, just from the Euro. Let's see, 500 millibar height anomaly. Okay, here's what we got. Yeah, it's this trough right here that's digging through the Midwest right now. Looking at the 12Z. That's what's going to be potentially driving the system right here. And if we could, if we see a scenario where this system starts to develop earlier than anticipated, it's going to get yanked up to the north. That's what I can
Yeah, for
say.
sure. If it starts to really get its act together tomorrow, then it's definitely getting pulled north.
Here's the time frame of that. The earliest I could see it getting pulled up to the north would be in 3 days, October 22nd. If it develops around that time frame, it's gonna be it's probably it yeah, if it develops very quickly and gets caught to that trough, it's gonna crash into Hispaniola. But if it's kind of stalls out and doesn't do anything until like 6 days out, similar to what the Europeans forecasting, at that point that's gonna just continue to move further to the west before another trough comes up and starts pulling it towards Cuba. That's what the situation is. So, yeah. The thing is, though, it's. I don't think this is going to develop until probably Wednesday at the earliest, Ethan, in my opinion. The reason being, this is a poorly disorganized system. It's moving really fast now that it needs to slow down quite a bit before it starts to get organized and develop more. And by that point, it's going to be south of the Dominican Republic. And as long as it stays pretty weak where it is right now, it's going to continue driving further to the west. Man,
Yep. That's yeah, personally I've always leaned more towards the western track as well,
I'm still
but
I'm still
a
holding.
lot can still
Yeah,
change.
yeah, a lot can still change, and I'm leaning towards that still, mainly because I don't like the guidance of the Zero Z. I think it's too bullish, in my opinion. There's too much shear, there's not enough organization, and there's too much forward motion. If we saw a more organized system tomorrow morning, then I'd pay attention. But right now, I don't trust the Zero Z guidance, and I think any models we get over the next couple of days, we have to take with a massive pinch of salt.
Agreed.
So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I don't particularly think that I don't like the bullishness of these forecasts. I think the hurricane, yeah, I think the thing the hurricane models are doing is I think they're overestimating the satellite appearance of it because Ethan, yeah, another thing, there's too much shear and dry air initially. If this develops tomorrow, it would be a shock for the entire weather community if it does.
If this developed tomorrow, then that northerly track would all of a sudden become a lot more likely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
If it developed tomorrow, it would be battling the shear, essentially be battling that shear and then the dry air.
Yeah, it would be. It would be, and I think there's still too much shear and dry air for it to develop in the first place, even regardless of that. Just there's not enough organization for that to be supported. That's why I don't think it's going to develop probably until later this week, and that's why I'm thinking this is more of a long-term threat. So for now, we have to keep watch on it, but development as of the short term is unlikely at this point. And another thing I need to mention too is a lot of this, in my opinion, is popcorn and convection. Like this is convection that's, at least in my opinion, not going to sustain itself past like a few hours either. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, if it's not sustained convection, then it's really not developing
Yeah,
that quickly.
yeah, you can even tell with how this is going. You see all this convection firing off in 98L, but it's starting to weaken pretty quickly afterward. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
I could see that. Yeah, you need sustained convection if
Yep.
you really want to see a system intensify.
Yeah. Do I think this will develop eventually? Absolutely. 1000%. So that's what we're dealing with right now. But I think the main thing we need to stress tonight, as we always have, is this is going to impact somebody. This has the potential to be a very powerful and destructive system. And if you are in this system's path, you need to prepare. If you're anywhere from the Dominican Republic to Cuba, you need to prepare. If you're in Jamaica, you need to be watching this closely. If you are in the Bahamas, you need to be watching this closely. Florida, watch it closely. We'll have to pay attention to it. The further west this goes, the more of an impact it does have. So,
Yeah, it could escalate pretty quickly. So,
also, one other thing we need to mention, Invest 98L. Invest 98L historically has been quite
been
a
cursed.
yes, the 98L curse, as Ethan and I call it. Does anyone have any idea why we call it the 98L curse? A lot of systems with Invest 98L have become very powerful systems. Hurricane Ian was Invest 98L. That's an example of that. That's a pretty prime example of that. Now, am I saying this is going to be the similar situation? Yeah, Milton. Yeah, 98L was Milton. I don't think Beryl was. No, I don't think it was. Was Helene was 97L. Watch my documentary. You'll see that. Helene was
Yeah,
97L.
go watch the Helene documentary. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
And while you're at it, subscribe to Ethan WX too. Also, a really cool channel.
Yo, my boy right here. My boy. I'm pretty sure Beryl was 91 or 92L. But yeah.
I can look.
Well, Barrow was
Hold on.
pretty. Yeah, I think it was. I thought it was 92L.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it was Milton Milton was let me I actually have this pulled up real quickly. I'm going to this is for research right here for another particular documentary that I'm going to be doing. Let's
Oh
see
yeah, the
here.
Milton documentary is coming,
Yeah,
so
was
stay
Milton
tuned for
98
that.
was Milton 98L or no?
I do not know from the top of my head.
Okay, just making sure. Anyway, that's just that I thought I'd talk about that. Yeah, M name storms are also dangerous. This reminds me of Matthew 2016, Milton last year as well. So the you know how the I curse has something, the M curse may be going in play again.
What is up?
Bro, is that who I think it is?
Weather Kingdom.
I
Yep.
think
When did
you do.
Milton- When did Milton get its invest?
Yeah. Anyway, Weather Kingdom has joined the stream tonight. How are you doing, buddy?
Another day, another day.
Yep, it indeed
Pretty
it
good.
is. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we got for you right here. 98L Weather Kingdom. We have quite a bit of spider webs to untangle with this.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
There's been quite a bit of spider webs. I kind of gave my opinion earlier on my stream, but
Yeah.
I have my own opinion on this wave right now,
Go for
and
it.
it's so with everything that I've looked at and talking to some weather communities and all that, and I mean, I was looking at a lot of information. I don't want to say this reminds us of anything historic, but this give me
Weather Kingdom, you cut out. What's up? Hello? Uh-oh.
Okay,
We'll
Pat, you want your answer for Milton?
Okay.
92L.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. I'll write that in the script. Thank you. Anyway. That's what we got. Okay. Oh, crap. You got to be kidding me. Um,
Going on?
stream is crashing out again. Yep, we're getting it fixed.
Oof.
We're getting it fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, it's getting fixed. We're back.
You
We're
wanna
back.
go
We're okay.
now
Sorry
you
about
wanna
that.
answer for Barrel too, right?
Yeah, 92L. Yep. We're okay. Stream's back. We're back. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's what we're dealing with
I
90.
think
Weather Kingdom, are you there or
if I'm correct, I think
never mind, go ahead, Trevor.
if I'm correct, I think Barrel was 94 L.
Okay. Alright, he's back. We'll have to
Let me
talk.
look.
We'll have to see, but
Like in my opinion, on this tropical wave.
mhm.
So if the wind shear dies off, that it looks like it will, this has a very good structure. And I say the evolution so far out of this wave has actually done better than models forecasted. I'm still a little bit weirded out. Like, I want to see how it looks tomorrow and tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But if trends continue, honestly, will say this could end up being a worst case scenario with the waters continuing to warm. And very surprisingly, I mean, those waters that this system will be in is more than 30,
Yep.
about 31.1 degrees Celsius. I was looking.
Yep.
And that is another thing you have to think about. This Caribbean hasn't been touched all season. So everything, if the conditions are perfectly right, like there's gonna be no dry air. And according to Shear, it's not gonna be that bad. It's not gonna be bad. It should continue, it should slow down and kind of not shear itself. But as of right now, if this could go as a more of a sloppy hurricane into the some part of the Dominican or Haiti and be a GFS scenario on some of the ensembles where it showed on some of the models where it does a Sarah
Yeah.
and drop 90 inches of rain. But the worst case scenario, and this is the one where we're kind of in the middle with, is if the conditions are perfect and these waters and this storm takes the full advantage of an untapped Caribbean, this has a very high ceiling, all I'm gonna say.
I got it.
This has a
Oh,
ceiling
go ahead, Weather Kingdom.
very high.
Yeah, I gotta say there is actually quite a bit of there is some flaws with this system right now. I agree that with everything you said in the for the long run, but for the next, I'd say at least 48 hours, we have quite a bit of shear that this system needs to carve through before it can do anything. If you anything right now. Also, this system's moving really fast at up to 25 miles per hour. So that's
It needs to
something we're
slow
going to need to
down.
watch. Yeah, it needs to slow
That's
down.
what's gonna
It's getting
happen.
in its own way. And another thing, we do have a slot of dry air that could inhibit its organization early. But I do agree with you that these are all going to be factors much later down the road. That's my opinion for you right there. I'm not seeing this
Uh-huh.
system developing very quickly. I think it's going to be more of a gradual type of situation where it slowly evolves, and then once it does, bam. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that too very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't trying to
I'm
dig
very
on
well.
you or anything like that. I just wanted you to know that this is what we're dealing with right now and kind of keep you up to speed with
Yes.
that. So,
Yes. Um, I'm pretty sure you already looked at all the ensembles and models. I mean, I will say this does have a high ceiling, and anyone in the Caribbean right now should be on a watch.
yes.
US, not right now. I'm not seeing any US impacts, but that's still a slim possibility, just the evolution on this wave. I mean, the European ensembles likes this system to develop gradually, like you said, and then once it gets into the better environment, absolutely goes off into a major hurricane.
Yeah,
That we're gonna have to wait and see,
I agree.
in my opinion. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of what happens in the next 48 hours that will determine this fate of this system.
I agree with that. I would say the next 24 hours would be a good first step.
Because a lot of the AI models have.
Go ahead. I'm looking at it.
I agree.
Yeah. So you hold on.
Okay.
Okay, this is interesting. Here's 12Z. Man, the mod, just to give you a semblance of what we're dealing with, Weather Kingdom. I'm looking at the ensembles right now. Let's go ahead and show you what we have.
Yeah.
Here's the European ensembles. If you're looking at my screen, majority of them have the entering into the Western Caribbean Sea and then turning north after that as a very powerful storm. GFS ensembles, look at this. They're all over the
What?
place.
Yeah, I mean the GFS ensembles, they have a little bit of issues, but one thing I'm noticing is a lot of strength.
Yeah, there's a lot of power regardless of where this goes.
This reminds me as a Westpac type ensemble.
A
Yeah,
Westpac type temperature, a Westpac type temperatures for seas and a Sambo.
correct.
Yeah. That, if you're telling me that, that is not good. So that's your GFS ensembles. Here is the FNV3 heading towards the Dominican Republic. Still pretty powerful. And then here's the GENC. All over the place again. This is pretty much what we're
Yeah.
dealing with for everyone in the audience. And in terms of your track models, here's your 0Z guidance now. Majority of them have them turn into Haiti, Jamaica, or the Dominican Republic. But I have some problems with this, particularly the intensity guidance. I think they're too bullish with the intensity. Like Weather Kingdom, if you're looking at my cursor, they want this to be a tropical storm in 24 hours.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be. I mean, I don't think so.
It's debatable. I mean,
Yeah.
I would kind of put it as maybe, crap, maybe or maybe not, but it's kind of debatable.
Okay.
Yeah, in 24 hours, I think it's kind of unlikely.
All right. So that's why I'm not liking this. I do want to see what the 12Z and 6Z models do when they come out, but that's why I'm not taking these at face value right now. I don't like the intensity guidance with it. So that's where we're at right now. But yeah, that's pretty much 98L in a nutshell. A very confusing forecast, needs a lot of work, but we're slowly chipping away at it.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man. Hold up.
I will be live. By the way, Pat. Probably for the 0Z runs.
All right, that's fine.
By the way.
Yeah, that's fine. I might be finishing up pretty soon, so yeah.
All right.
That's where we're at. Okay, we have some questions we have a quick question right here. And we have more. If you have any questions, type them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. When are Hurricane Hunters flying out? Tuesday. That's when they're, from what I've been
Tuesday.
Oh, they are.
heard, they are going to be out there on Tuesday. So we'll have to see how that pans out. If we can get those Hurricane Hunter aircraft out, it'll give us a lot better data to run with for the models. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Very interesting. A big blob of convection. Interesting.
Where's
I would like
that
to
at?
see how they evolve in the storm area.
Oh yeah, you're seeing that. We're seeing that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and refresh Dapia. Okay, Ryan's asking, should I cancel my trip to Jamaica on Wednesday? that's your call. We're just looking at the weather forecast. Most likely not, but that's your call. We don't advise people in terms of canceling travel, that stuff. We don't do that. We just give you
If
the
you're
weather information.
if you're
That's your
travel,
discretion.
essentially, if you're traveling to Jamaica for a good reason, no. But if you're traveling there just to watch the storm come in, don't do it. It's not worth risking your life.
No, I don't think he's doing that. He might be doing it for vacation or something before the system hits.
That's what I was saying. If you're doing it for a vacation, it's optional.
Yeah,
But we don't highly advise canceling them unless you want to.
yeah. Anyway, looking at this, okay, this is interesting. Where are we
What?
at with our... We're seeing more convection blowing up. Let me see where our current location is for 98L. 12.763. That was as of 2 hours ago. Here's where we at. Looks like there's convection firing off near the center. Quite a bit of it. It's mainly concentrated to the north, but that's still going on. From what I have heard, that is sheared convection right here. It's kind of being dislodged. Oh yeah, you can definitely notice it right here. It's not expanding out as much. It's more sheared. You're seeing how it's kind of being halted on the westward side, if you're noticing that a little bit. That's more sheared convection, and that's kind of being anviled more so to the east. That's pretty common with mesoscale type convection in the Midwest, Ethan. If you are familiar, if you're familiar with that, yeah. You noticing that, guys? Uh-oh. Ah, crap. Stream's not. Okay, we're okay. We're back. We're back. We've been having these off and on issues all night.
We are experiencing technical difficulties at this time.
Bro, we need John in here to give those Okay, we're...
All right, I'm going to head out. I'll talk to you guys.
That's fine. I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.
We're back. Bye, Ethan. You have a nice night. All right. We're okay. We're okay.
Okay.
We're okay. Anyway, I figure let's give... All right, Trevor, Weather Kingdom, let's go ahead. I'm going to end the stream pretty soon because of this. Partially, also, I was planning on ending this anyway. So, what are your overall final thoughts for tonight?
Who wants to go? You or me, Trevor?
You can go first. I'm trying to do
Oh, okay.
first.
My opinion on this is, for now, is continue to watch. I really want to dissect pretty much everything and see each model run, and I want to do a lot of dissecting before I make my forecast. But right now, I would say chances continue to rise. Impacts are there, but very uncertain of where we're at and how bad. But one thing I know for sure is in either solution with a weaker storm, it's going to be bringing devastating mudslides potentially to somewhere in the Caribbean, if that's Cuba, if that's Haiti, if that's Puerto Rico or Dominica or Jamaica. But as of right now, I say the entire Caribbean, if where I just named, should really watch the system. And of being a named storm or anything, it's going to be bringing very heavy rain, strong and gusty wind. A lot of mudslides are very big and potential power outages, regardless of development of the system. But most likely, this system will develop. Just some questions of the evolution of how strong and the placement will it be. But there is a very, very, very high ceiling on this. But there is a chance where this could be a better case scenario and bust. But there is that bad feeling that I got with it being the last potential storm of the season, also an untouched Caribbean. And if the conditions are right with the waters, we are in for very big trouble in the next coming days for someone.
Yes.
But regardless of that, we're still going to be talking about flooding rains, gusty winds, showers, gloom and doom weather across parts of the Caribbean. Questions are where, how strong, the timing, and also the evolution of the system. Those are the big 5 reasons why I'm not going to make a forecast, but why I'm stating of what I'm stating.
Yeah. All right, Trevor, you're up.
So yeah.
Oh, do you have more to add, Weather Kingdom, or did I
big-
cut you off?
No, that's good.
All right, Trevor, go
A
for it.
big factor in this is we have to figure out what we have to get more better data from us.
Well, that's great. Okay, it's coming back, I think, or not.
What?
Once it gets okay, we're back. Give it a sec. We're back. We're back. I think. Yeah, we're back. We're good. We're okay. We're good. All right. Before the stream crashes again,